Welcome to Literarily My Way, using books to engage, learn, connect, and teach. Today I will focus on one of my favorite artists. She wasn't always one of my favorite because I did not understand her when I first saw her. I was in Mexico City attending the Universidad Iberoamericana in the Distrito Federal and living there during that semester. And I happened upon her gallery. And I went in, as I love to explore, and saw her paintings, like some of the things, didn't understand all of it because I didn't know who she was. I did not know enough about her to be able to appreciate her works. So later on, I started learning a little about her and became even more fascinated with her. And so Frida Kahlo, as I said, grew up in Mexico City, and she was born there on the outskirts in one of the suburbs, and she was born with polio, and so one leg was shorter than the other and smaller, and kids used to make fun of her all the time. So she loved to wear she loved to wear long dresses, and she loved her Mexican culture. And so this what I'm wearing, by the way, is from Mexico. This is from the state of Guerrero. State of Guerrero. Back here you'll see another one of my dresses. I have several that I collect and I use different times, different events. But again, Frida Kahlo loved her heritage. And so on this way to school, when she was a teen, on the way to school, she was on a bus, and the bus was hit by a trolley, killed several, threw her out, and she ended up in a body cast for months. And that's when she actually began to paint. Before that, her goal was to become a medical doctor or a medical illustrator. And so she was going to school. She was one of the first female to be accepted in the school that she was attending. And so she was smart, she was talented, and became even more renowned, if you will, once she became a painter. So Frida Kahlo, as I said, was in that bad accident. And while she was there, she decided, her father was a photographer, gave her some of his things that he used, some paintbrushes and things. Her mother, they put a mirror up above her bed, and she started painting things that she could see. Most of her paintings, for those who know about, are actually self-portraits. This here is one of her self-portraits. Another one is back here on this book. There's one here. There's several of her paintings in here. And this book is full of her paintings, but also her husband. So anyhow, she started painting, wondering if she was any good. And so she went to Diego Rivera to show him. He was painting a big mural, and she wanted to see and get his opinion. Now, she had seen him before. She saw him when she was a little girl, and he came to the school, and he's a big, huge guy. So she used to call him Panton, which fatso. So she was not always the nicest herself, and she also bullied kids, if you will, bullied people. But anyhow, she took him there years later, and he thought she was very, very talented. And later on, they actually got married, and spent their life together, sharing their artwork with our world. And first time she actually married him twice. She divorced him for a year. They divorced for a year, and then they got back together. And so she learned different roles. One, she was his wife and did the wifely duty things, if you will. And the other time, she learned to become more independent in herself and had her showings in New York and Paris and Mexico itself. So again, this is just a little bit about her. Let me share a couple of her books. This one is by Yuji Morales, and it's called Viva. And it's a very simple one, so I'm actually going to read this one with you. And it's Viva by Yuji Morales. He's the artist, and he's also the illustrator and the artist. Soy, I am. Busco, I search. And you see there's her husband back there. They sometimes call them el elefante y la paloma, the elephant and the dove, because of their size. I see, Veo. And throughout here, you'll see some of her animals. She loved animals. Okay. Aha. Juego, I play. Sé, I know. Sueño, I dream. Y me doy cuenta, and I realize. De que, that. Siento, I feel. Entiendo, and I understand. Que amo, that I love. Y creo arte and create. Y por lo tanto, and so, vivo, I live. Then it has some stuff about Frida Kahlo. Okay, and again, this one is by one of my favorite illustrator artists, and his name is Lawrence Anho. And this one's called Frida Kahlo and the Bravest Girl in the World. And this is about the little girl one of the little girls that she actually ended up painting. She had, lots of paintings had been done about everyone in her family. She was the smallest one. So one day she came of age, old enough to go sit. And she was afraid to go to the house because El Elefante Diego Rivera was going to be there. And she was also, as I said, Frida Kahlo had many, many animals. And so she had monkeys, and she had a deer, she had eagles, she had a dog. She just had lots and lots of animals. And this one right here is actually about Frida Kahlo and her animalitos by Monica Brown, illustrated by John Potter. So it tells the story about some of her animals and the roles have. Whenever she was lonely, she would have her animals around her. And they all had their names, and they all had their little personalities that she liked to share. This one is called Frida Kahlo, the artist in the blue house, La Artista en la Casa Azul. And that one just is more of her biography, and it tells about her living in the blue house. It tells about, shares some of her artwork. It gives you a good, has photos of her showing various parts of her life. Her Mexican dresses that she loved to wear. This was painted 2 years after a wedding portrait that she did based on a picture that was taken at their wedding. This one little one is Frida Kahlo. This one was Who Was Frida Kahlo? And again, it's also a biography. This is just my little cerdito, my little pig that I bought when I was in Mexico once. I've been there, I think somewhere between 19 and 21 times, either taking students with me or studying or at conferences or something, or just enjoying myself. So this is just one. This one right here, Frida. Frida is actually poetry by Carmen T. Bernier Gran, and put to, it actually has Frida Kahlo's illustrations in it. So this one is a bio poems, if you will. For example, this one's called Life Begins Tomorrow. Enclosed in a cast, it hurts a lot to laugh with carcajadas. Spinal column broken into 2 places. Pelvis in 3. Ribs in 2. Right leg in 7. Left elbow dislocated. Deep abdominal wounds. But I laugh with carcajadas, for death did not take me. I'm still here, I tell mi jefe. And besides, I have something to live for. That something is painting. Again, this is a collection of poems. The poems were written by Carmen Peña Gran, although Frida did keep a journal, if you will, a diary journal of her thoughts, her feelings, etc., that she kept until the day she died. And when she died, it was actually from pneumonia. And she and Diego had a very complicated life. So when you see her paintings, those things come to mind of what actually was involved in her life. And that's what she painted. She painted her pains. She painted her joy. The one time that she was exhibiting in Mexico, she was too sick to actually go. That was near the end. And they said that she couldn't go. So while they were there, she had them decorate her bed. She got all dressed up. And she went to her gala, to her opening for her exhibit in a bed. She had to stay in the bed because she could no longer walk or stand for long. And again, this is Frida Kahlo. And I hope you enjoy. If you get a chance to see any of her works, please do. There is an exhibit coming this summer in Chicago. You might want to take advantage of that. I'm going to try to go myself. And then I also would like to return to Mexico City and go see the entire museum in La Casa Azul, the Blue House. And so again, thank you for taking the time being with me. Thank you for letting me tell you a little about Frida Kahlo. And there'll be a blog about her soon, probably during March, during Women's Month, National Women's Month. Again, thank you. My name is Jean, and thank you for stopping by Literarily My Way.